Hello, BookTube, and welcome back to Summer of Sport, a BookTube event extending all summer long, created by Mark at Book Time with Elvis, to celebrate sports writing, which is a popular sport. It's a popular subgenre of nonfiction, and it has called forth in the last 100 years or more some really great prose. There are a number of anthologies that just collect sports writing. Sports writing can be awful. Any of you who've ever subscribed to Sports Illustrated in its heyday will know that. But it can also be great. And I've encountered that a few times in the books that I've been reading. My start with Summer of Sport was so interesting to me, even when it was funny, even when I seemed to be dragged down by the algorithm into gay sports fiction. Even when that was happening, it was still funny to me, and it was still also something that I absolutely treasure. Totally new areas for me. I love that. Absolutely love that. So I missed it. I dropped off Summer of Sport for a while, and in the meantime, as some of you will probably have seen, Mark at Book Time with Elvis is backed away from BookTube. I hope not permanently. He is building a house over there in the Czech Republic, and the thing you don't think about when you think, if you're from America and you think of the Czech Republic, you think, probably you think of the Kremlin, probably think of harsh winters, but he's finishing up his house in the Czech Republic in charbroiling heat. I remember, it can get monstrously hot. That's a lot on your plate. He's not only got to finish building his house, overseeing it, and making it done, he's also got to move house once he's done with that. I'm hoping that it's nothing more than that. I'm hoping that he joins us in the autumn. But in the meantime, his event goes on. This is still a great event. Even if I'm the only one who does it, I'm still not going to pass it up, because this is the fun of BookTube, is that events will introduce you to reading stuff that you might not otherwise have done. And my introduction, like I said, to Summer of Sport was so interesting that I want to continue all summer long. June only has a few more days left in it, then July and August. So I haven't been letting the algorithm pick because I'm afraid to. Because I'm afraid it's going to shunt me right back into something for the gays, into gay sports fiction. So instead I picked on my own. A book that I've heard about, an author that I've only heard about. I don't know the author. I'd never read it before. I never read the book, even though everything I've heard from the book by people who have read it and who know the sport was laudatory. I picked this, A Handful of Summers by Gordon Forbes, with this volume having a foreword by Peter Ustinov. I picture Peter Ustinov as, an amazing, bloated Hollywood raconteur. I don't picture him as being someone who picks up a tennis racket, but maybe he did. Tennis has an appeal to me as a sport. It's one of the few sports that I could ever read about in Summer of Sport that I've actually enjoyed playing from time to time. Every once in a while, I would manage company and a court away from dogs. Dogs ruin it. If they're anywhere around, even if they don't belong to me, if they're anywhere around, they ruin tennis for me. But if they're not anywhere around, so that they don't think, oh, well, it's you, and I'm reading your body language when you see me, and your body language is saying, I want to play, because I do. When I see my babies, I want to play and smooch with them. So, since you're throwing a ball around, that must be what you want. You want to play with that ball. And there's no way that I can tell a dog when I'm beaming with happiness to see them. There's no way that I can tell a dog, no, I am hitting a ball around, but it's a primate thing. It's a monkey thing. It doesn't involve you. There's no way that I can do that. There's no dog who would ever understand that, unless you ruthlessly train them. So, it has been an obstacle, but I have overcome it from time to time. There have been times in my life where I was seriously enjoying tennis, where I played it every day. So I read this thing, and boy, oh boy, did it live up to its billing. I don't know if Gordon Forbes had a guest writer for this, if maybe he had a natural tendency for the written word. I actually don't know anything about Gordon Forbes. This is all in grass courts, a lot of it in grass courts. We don't play on grass in the United States. We play on clay, but this struck me a lot like that cricket book that I read. Just wonderfully written, very funny, very warm and personable. I got the impression from this. I don't know anything about Gordon Forbes. I gather from this book that he got his big start in South Africa. But I don't know anything about him other than that, and I don't know if anybody helped him to write this book or what kind of a PR campaign it had or was a part of. But boy, oh boy, from this book alone, I would have to think that this guy was incredibly likable, that he didn't have a single enemy, even among the people he was competing against, which is not exactly the case in professional tennis now. I love the stories here. just love them. Love the personal element that he weaves in and out of them. I thought this was a gem of a book. Exactly the sort of thing that I would have heard about and been perfectly content not to read had it not been for a YouTube event, for a BookTube event pushing me along. Even if it's an orphaned BookTube event, it's still pushing me along. I thought this was great. I want to know now more about the author, maybe to the extent of reading someone else's account of his career in life. I loved his account. Also, he has a really good ability to describe games, to describe actual tennis matches, which you would think, I mean, tennis is a match that's done at breakneck speed between two individuals. And I have never watched a tennis match, almost never watched a tennis match, where the play style of the two individuals does not immediately assign to them the role of hero and villain, of heel and babyface. Almost always, you, the viewer, you, the spectator, in addition to watching the ball go back and forth, you almost immediately think, well, this is the good guy here on the court, and this is the bad guy. I've only known that not to be true once, about 35 years ago, when the two greatest American tennis players at the time were two androids. Watching them play, their matches would go on for 5 hours, and watching them play was watching one algorithm against another, where there was no hint of a hero and a villain. It was just two robots against each other. But other than that, usually not. And you would think that if all those elements are true for a tennis match, that it would lend itself to dramatic writing, but no, not at all. Read some of the famous tennis sequences that exist in literature, even if you go to James Bond. It takes a really talented writer to write a tennis match well. Please do not mention David Foster Wallace. Here, if you can, you dude bros that I know secretly watch this channel because you sense, and your senses are correct, that I am your lord. Kindly don't mention DFW. I'd appreciate it. Thanks, with an X. It isn't easy to do. It isn't easy to describe that, and this author does it well. Really well. This would prompt me, I guess, to read a biography of him, but mainly the thing I want to read is I want to find out if he wrote any other books, and if they're as good as this. I thought this was terrific. Absolutely terrific. So it gets a strong recommendation. No idea if it's still in print, but I really, really enjoyed it. So that's my entry, my latest inning, for Summer of Sport, which feels a little bit forlorn now because the guy who created the event has left BookTube. But I'm going to persevere. I want to regularly touch base with you about sports books for the rest of the summer. So I'll wrap this up for now, and we'll see what happens next. I may throw a book on the pile tonight. I have a fairly light reading light. I may do that. I will let you know. I will report back. Thank you, BookTube.